This is the most accurate Luke lightsaber ever made, and it was sent to me to get the electronics upgraded and fixed. So let me show you what I did. So this is my first time actually seeing a Magic of Myth lightsaber in person, and I must say, they do not disappoint. For those of you who don't know, this is the most accurate Luke Hero Return of the Jedi lightsaber out there, so it's very, very special. And you can see by the box that they really took everything into consideration, because this is a very nice box. In any case, as I mentioned in the intro, this was a repair job and a little bit of an upgrade, and I built a recessed blade for it. So I didn't build this from scratch, but I did get to work on it, and it's really nice. So let me go over everything for you here. Basically, this is the hilt. There you go. I'll put that to the side for now. We'll go over that in a bit. This here is just a battery placement holder that came inside the chassis. These are the extra parts that we didn't use, and the old Profi board. I'll explain what this is later. And this is a blade connector that I didn't use because we used a lit one, and then this is a holder that we didn't use because I made my own. So all those are going to be in here. This is the blade emitter, and these are all just bubble wrap, so there's nothing else in there. And then I'm going to go over the lightsaber. I do want to quickly mention this hilt is phenomenal. I don't know what it is about it, but it feels amazing to hold. Maybe it's the machining or the material they used. I don't know if this is just standard aluminum or whatnot, but it feels really nice. Very different from the other Luke lightsabers I've held, so there's something super special about this. I won't be going over all the details and such, because I don't even know all of them that is included in this, but it's very, very cool. So let's open it up and talk about the fixing. So the most blatant thing you can see here is the chassis. The top part of the chassis here I sanded because for whatever reason the diameter of this was basically perfectly the diameter of the hilt grip area here. So when you put it in, it had a lot of friction and it would be pretty tough to put on, and when you turned it, it would put strain on the chassis because of the friction would turn the chassis too, and over time it will wear it down. Which brings me to the second issue of the lightsaber that I had to fix, which was this chassis was wobbly. As you can see, not wobbly at all.
What is it?
Whoops.
Father's lightsaber.
We'll just turn that off for now, forgot to turn it off. But it doesn't wobble at all. Now the thing about that is this uses a screw at the very bottom of the control box that presses onto the chassis, and the area that it was pressing on got worn down so much, probably from the fact that this was bigger before it got sanded, and it caused strain and wore down the chassis, and then it got loose. So my job was to make it better. I did that by turning it 180 degrees. Basically, the battery was facing the bottom here before, so I turned it 180 degrees, and then I used the screw to hold on to it. I filed down the screw in order to make it a bit shorter because the material sticks out a little bit more on this side of the chassis than this side. And then it now presses down super firmly, and with the sanding of the chassis, it shouldn't even put any tension on it. So that should last for a very, very long time. And if not, I included extra screws here, so I have 2 extra screws. I believe the one that works right now, I measured it at 6.3 millimeters. This is a 6.6 millimeter, and this is an uncut, full like 7.7 or something millimeter screw. So I included both. You'll never need to use that one. That one's mainly if you want to cut it down or sand it down yourself. This one is just in case the chassis gets worn down to a point where you need a slightly bigger screw. So I included that in there in case you need to, and I'll show you how to access it. So essentially, I did all of that, and the other thing I needed to do was swap out the Profi board, because this was running a Profi V2, and the customer wanted a Profi V3, so that's what I did. I had to access the chassis first though, and how I did that was I opened up the control box here by just sliding that out, and as you can see, this is the sort of screen accurate board. So if I can grab some tweezers here, I can show you. If you ever need to have access to the underside here, Just take some tweezers, go on this bottom corner, flip it up in that direction, because it's easier that way, and then you can just take it out. Here's the helper board. You can have a little bit of a closer look. It has the pixels for the red and green arrows, it has the kill switch, and then the 2 buttons. And then I don't exactly know why all these wires are set up the way they are. Whoever installed this did it for a reason. It all works, so I just left it as it is. And I looked up pictures on the wiring pathways and stuff, and it was very complicated. For whatever reason, this kill switch has both positive and negative stuff going to it. I'm not entirely sure why, I've never dealt with that, and I don't know what this switch exactly is rated for, so I didn't want to take anything apart and redo it, because there was also apparently an issue with battery drain, which I haven't come across yet, but I'm testing it tonight. I'll be leaving this on because I just recently uploaded a new config inside of here, so hopefully the sleep mode and everything else will kick in, and hopefully there won't be any battery drain, but we'll see. If there is, then most likely you're just going to have to take the battery out when you're not using it in order to prevent the battery from draining, but I want to see how fast it is, and we'll see if there's anything I can do about that on the config side. So, because I checked the wiring for the rest of the Saber, and there's nothing that indicates to me like weird wiring pathways to have just current disappearing somewhere, even with the kill switch off or whatever. The only thing I could think of was the weird pathways going on in here, but again, I don't want to mess with that too much, especially because with this particular switch, there might be something weird going on with it, or I don't know if it's rated appropriately because you have resistor type things in there connected to the weird pathways that also connect to the kill switch. So there's weird stuff going on with this essentially. So I didn't want to mess with it too much. So in order to access the soundboard, you needed to take out the chassis. And once again, you have to do tweezers and lift it up. When I first went in here, it was full of weird tape, double-sided tape, or like the sticky residue or whatever in the corners and on the edges, kind of holding everything in place, which is a bit strange. But I learned that it actually allowed the buttons to be pressed against the outer buttons for them to be pressed. Otherwise, the board is not quite the right size because it'll just sit back here a little bit and you're unable to press the buttons. So my solution to that was, instead of having weird sticky residue and stuff, I just used a shim. A little clear plastic shim that you just push in the edge here and just wedge it in with the back of some tweezers, just like that. And you can take it out by lifting it up here. I won't show you now, but that's essentially how you take it out. Just take some tweezers, push it up here, and then just shimmy your way out. It's pretty easy, I've done it a few times already. And then to put it back, you just wedge it in, and then push it in. But this is how you access the screws too. You take the shim out, take the board out. The wires in there are long enough where you can just pull it out, put it back. And then you take a screw and then you just unscrew it, screw it in. So if the chassis ever gets loose, that's how you do it. And you can always message me if you need to have me help you run through it or whatever else. But it's pretty simple. I also included extra shims in case you lose it, because it's clear and it's tiny, so I included a bunch of extra shims in this bag. There we go. So a bunch of extra shims in there. There's like 4. And it's pretty simple. Just anything super thin would work. Just wedge it in there and it'll allow the buttons to be pressed properly. So let's put this back together. When you put this on, make sure you go that side first, and then it'll just sort of fall right in. You can push it down. There you go. And then you have access to the kill switch.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
This is on a lower volume because I don't want to annoy my neighbors and break my ears or anything, but it can go really high. Let's see, what else should I mention about the install? So basically, I uploaded the config fairly recently, and there was an issue with it where you weren't able to access the sound font or the sound volume, and you couldn't access the battery level, etc. So there's weird things going on with that, and also the volume itself was really low, and I had no idea why it was so low. So I spent a bunch of time trying to figure out what was wrong with the config, testing it, but basically you were missing a couple lines in there for the prop file. So it wasn't running any prop file, which makes sense why there wasn't any button commands working, so you couldn't access those things. So that's fixed now. It's uploaded with the fonts that were sent to me. And then we'll put this back together. Screw that on. If you see this black stuff on my palm, that's from the grease of the threads here, because I also greased that up in order to let it slide a bit easier. There you go. Just screw that in. So the top is the activation. Auxiliaries at the bottom.
Enter volume menu.
Volume menu. Let me lower it because it's still a little loud for in here.
Minimum volume. Volume menu end.
And then you can check the battery level.
Battery level 98%.
That way, and then all the other commands work. I do have the the common folder, as you can hear the audio. What is it? Hu Yang. That's because I really like Hu Yang's voice, and I think it works great in lightsabers. I'm sure you know how to change it, but if you don't, just let me know and I can change that for you and we can go back to whatever voice you want. In any case, that's pretty much it for this lightsaber. Let's go over the blade, because the blade was a fun one, because this hilt needs a recessed blade, and if you don't know what a recessed blade is, it's this. So if you can see in here, the NeoPixel connector is sitting on top of a tube of sorts, so it's sticking out. And then there's an outer rim here, an outer circle, where the blade can slip past the NeoPixel connector and then sit between the outside and inside sort of rings. That is very useful for thin neck lightsabers because it adds some extra friction on the inside of the tube. If I can just show you a random tube here. So basically, you have the emitter on the outside, and that's what the tube normally has as friction points. But then you also have the inside wall of the tube. So it sits in like that and it slips in. I don't know if I explained that correctly, but essentially it has both the outside and inside as friction points to hold a lightsaber blade in. So the more friction you have with a thin neck lightsaber, because the blade depth is so small, the better it can be held in. I accidentally hit the button there. So yeah, that's pretty much what a recessed blade is, and I needed to make that for him. He wanted a 30-inch, so this is exactly 30 inches from the top here all the way to the bottom. It's running these types of pixels back to back, double-sided, so that we could easily adjust the length. And then the foam on the inside is this foam. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really nice because it's able to hold those strips in super snugly, so there's no rattle of the LEDs inside the blade, which happens a lot with some of the pre-made strips and whatever foam they use. But this is fantastic. It's rock solid, not going anywhere. Then the tip, I have it held on with some E6000, so if you ever do want to take it off, you can just wedge something in there, pry it off, and then you can just work it, and then it'll come out. And then this is the recessed blade portion, as you can see in there. So I designed a blade holder that can hold this NeoPixel connector, which has LEDs on it to light the base, so it's more evenly lit. I made it as small as I could so that it wouldn't be seen. Like, there's no chance of it being seen in this tiny little emitter section. And I'll show you in a second. It came out really, really well. And I was afraid that this wasn't going to fit the emitter, because when I initially cut the blade to the length, and I tried to put it in, it wouldn't fit. And when I had tested with a couple different tubes of mine that I had, because I was testing a few different methods of cutting and trying to sand it to make it work, I had to take a Dremel and sand the inside and try and make it fit. I was afraid I had to do that in here in order to make it fit, but luckily I didn't. Because on the other side, it was pre-cut, probably with a CNC machine or something like that. Pre-cut, whatever this side has going on for it, it works perfectly in the top part of this emitter here. It's also beveled quite nicely. Maybe that helps. But in any case, you can just put it in into the top here super easily. I'll just show you real quick once I remove the set screw. You just put it in like that. You do a little clockwise screwing rotation. You never want to do it counterclockwise because you might unthread something over here. But just a little clockwise screwing motion and it slides all the way in and you'll feel it. And then you want to screw this in all the way. You're going to want to screw it in a little bit further than you think is necessary too, because the threads of the emitter, or the top emitter, when you screw it in, it's going to hit that retention screw. So you want to make sure it's screwed in pretty tightly, actually, so that it's as out of the way as possible. And then you need to put on the emitter cap sort of adapter thing that I showed you earlier. There it is. And when you put it on the blade, it will get caught a little bit at the top here because I guess the diameter is a little bit larger. But again, just a little bit counterclockwise movement and it pops right in. See? It'll get stuck a bit, just oop. Then slide it all the way down. And then you can screw it in. So let's turn on the lightsaber and I can show you how well lit it is. It is perfectly evenly lit throughout the whole thing. Obviously it's a pixel strip, so you'll have a little bit of shadowing effects between the two strips. So the ones that, because it's not a four-sided strip, it's just two sides. Mainly I'm talking about at the base here. It's both a combination of the fact that I got everything super small, so the connection between the pixel strip and the pixel connector is super tiny, so it's as compact as it can possibly be. And the lit PCB to light up the base, I think that also does wonders, and also the fact that the connector holder is as thin as I could make it. Well, not as thin as I can make it. I can make it way thinner, but this still has structural integrity, etc. But as you can see, you don't see anything different down there. And I know it's on camera, but in person it's the same thing. And then up at the top, it's very nice. I'm incredibly proud of this lightsaber blade. This is by far my favorite lightsaber blade that I made. Came out wonderfully. I might even start doing it with my own lightsabers with the thicker foam or something, because everything is just rock solid with that. Oh yeah, before I take it off, let me show you the fonts and the blade styles real quick. Obviously standard green, Return of the Jedi.
What is it? Father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of the
Graphics
Jedi Knight.
from A New Hope.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
ESB.
All too easy.
Vader.
Darth Vader.
And then this one, I think it was Anakin from Revenge of the Sith.
It's just Ben these days.
This is the Kenobi TV show.
I'm Luke Skywalker.
And then we're back. There's a bunch more controls, but those are the basics. So yeah, let me take off the emitter and the blade now. Oh, once again, I want to show you this. This is a super solid blade, so if I can zoom out a little bit, I'm kind of hitting the things on my desk here, so let me try not to. It is super solid. I don't know what it is about this setup, but it feels really nice. You could probably use it for some medium to harder dueling. Probably still wouldn't do any heavy dueling with it, but like, it feels pretty darn solid to me. Just hitting it normally. So yeah, let me take this off now. Excuse the hitting noises, that's just me hitting the wall and a 3D printer with the blade tip. And then you just pull it off. There you go. And then when you remove the blade after you've removed the set screw and unscrewed it, there we go, this is a better angle. So, like I was saying, once you remove the set screw, you can just clockwise and then pull it out. Works great, super easy. So let me put the blade off to the side and close out the video. You can just put the display emitter back on after we've set the set screw. And there you have it. That's the lightsaber, the upgrades I did to it, the fixes, etc. Anyways, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching and checking out this really cool, super accurate Luke lightsaber and listening to me talk about what I did to fix it and upgrade it and whatnot. And to the customer who commissioned this from me, thank you so much for allowing me to fix it and upgrade it. It is a pleasure to work on this lightsaber. It is just a marvel. It's so cool. And I hope you enjoy it, because I really made it as solid as I possibly could. Everything about it is rock solid. I would love to have this in my own personal collection. So, hope you enjoy. See you guys next time.